Hey guys, it's Crystal. I hope you guys are all doing well today and that you're having a good week. It's been a busy week for me. So hopefully, guys, I have this case down enough so I'm not like constantly reading off the page. I'm really sorry that it looks like that sometimes, guys, but to be honest with you, memorizing 23 pages sometimes is it's a lot and I need, just some hints once in a while. So hopefully this will work out well for us because this case it really needs to be talked about. So if you guys are new to this channel, like I said, my name's Crystal. I do Canadian true crime or true crime with a Canadian twist. For the past actually 4 weeks before this, we were doing crossover crimes where the criminal either came from Canada and killed elsewhere, or killed in Canada and elsewhere, or was in the States and came to Canada. They all had links to it. So from time to time, I do talk about cases that just have links to Canada. And I also do cover international cases once every couple months, but the majority of our content is Canadian here. So if that sounds like something that you want to get behind, guys, please, please, please click that old like button. That really helps me out. Click the subscribe button so that you guys can come on back and watch some more when I release them. It's usually like once a week, sometimes a couple more. Sorry, it's not funny, guys. And hopefully you will hit the notification bell. It sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. And hopefully you'll share, particularly about this case, guys. The more information we get out about this case, the better the odds are that it can be solved. And if you guys are returning, you already know how much I love you guys and how thankful I am that you guys invite me into your homes or wherever you stream and listen to me talk. Sometimes I can be really long-winded. You guys know that. So hopefully you guys will also leave me some comments as well. Please, no hate if you guys do choose to leave any comments. These videos are for educational or entertainment purposes only, mostly educational, guys. We're only here to talk about theories and thoughts. We're not here to attack each other or to attack me. Hopefully you guys won't want to. I've only had a couple comments that way, but it does happen. So just remember to be kind, especially with everything that's going on right now. I will address what did happen if you guys do have a couple minutes. Earlier this week in London, last week we did actually talk about London, Ontario. This week, a man drove his pickup truck into a family and killed 4 of the 5 members, and he did so because they were Muslim. I hope that you guys understand how badly this hurt us, hurt all of us, hurt the community, hurt the Muslim community, hurt people at large, hurt that whole entire family. There is a 9-year-old right now. I know there's a GoFundMe page, so London, Ontario, if you guys do want to look it up, to help this poor boy. He has to live without his parents and his sister for the rest of his life because some man decided he didn't like their religion. You know, religious freedom here in Canada, we do not try to anymore force people to assimilate. We're not a melting pot. We are multicultural. If you choose to come here, you can practice what you believe in, as long as you're not hurting other people. And these people weren't. There was no reason for what happened. I hope that my international viewers out there do understand that most of Canada does not feel this way. This is not the first time an attack of this nature has happened, but the majority of Canadians were very shocked by it, very hurt by it, very generous when donating. So I am going to address that. I'm also going to address the fact that a couple weeks ago, 215 bodies of small children were found at one of the burial sites for a residential school that was in Kamloops, BC. I do know that other YouTubers have talked about this. They're actually American YouTubers, not every single one. So I know how shocking it was for them. In Canada, this did happen. We did commit cultural genocide. These schools went on until 1996. Not all of them, but the last one was shut down in 1996. It is one of the most horrific chapters in Canadian history. It was taught to us in school. I gained more of an understanding of it later on. My partner is actually Métis. So he does have indigenous blood in his veins, which means my children do too. So I took a more active interest in studying it because of this. I know that the states didn't particularly understand, or other nationalities didn't particularly understand that this happened here. We did not try to cover this up. In Canada, it was well-known news. In fact, Justin Trudeau did offer apologies. Apologies aren't enough. Understanding and education is what is needed. But he did offer apologies and restitution in 2017. However, I do know that more of these sites are going to be found. It is something that needs to be talked about in Canada so that we can hope for a time of healing. Healing really needs to happen. We've, for centuries, treated Indigenous people like they were nothing or like they were below us. They were either to be ignored or sneered at, and that should never happen. People matter. The logo for the month of September, actually it's when we talk about Orange Shirt Day, I don't know if you in the States know what that is, or internationally if you guys know what that is. It is a specific holiday for Indigenous people. We call it Orange Shirt Day because you're encouraged to wear orange shirts that day to show that every child matters. And it's true. It doesn't matter what your religion is. It doesn't matter who you love. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter who brought you up. It doesn't matter how you choose to go about your life, as long as you're not hurting other people. You guys understand what I mean with that. It doesn't matter how you identify culturally. It doesn't matter your race. Every single person has a worth, and we need to address that in Canada. So sorry guys, it was a little bit of a rant. I just wanted to address that. And yes, today I am wearing my Home Improvement I Love Randy shirt. It's JTT, you guys remember. So today's case, this is a missing persons case, but it's actually been reclassified. We're going to get into that and talk about the reasons why. There is not a lot of information on this. The last information I got was from articles from 2019. I actually looked at this case and wanted to do this case last year, but I chose to do Alan Legier instead in the hopes that there would be more information on this case. There isn't. You guys are going to be frustrated. I was also incredibly frustrated. There's more questions at this point in time than there are answers. So I'm just going to give you the information. I want this case out here though, guys, because hopefully one of you guys, someone you know, anything like that, may have information on how we can bring this boy home. His name is Brayden, Brayden, Thibault, Thibault. So it could be also pronounced Thibault, but it's, as far as I know, it's Thibault. So please don't hurt me if I didn't say it right. I'm sorry, guys. Sometimes I mispronounce things. You guys know I do. So Brayden Thibault. He has been missing since 2017. And there is no information whatsoever on this case. It's very, very limited. The articles I did read all said the same things. So we're mostly going to talk about theories, but hopefully if I get his name out there, guys, we can help the family and hopefully the RCMP bring him home. So Brayden was born March 5th of 2020. His mother's name is Amanda Frigault, Frigault. I don't have any information on his father. It appears that his mom and dad aren't together, guys, and it doesn't really seem like his dad is in the picture. I don't recall him ever giving interviews, but he may just not want to be out there publicly. Some people are uncomfortable on camera. Sometimes I'm uncomfortable, you guys know that. So his mom's name is Amanda, and Brayden seems to be her middle child. He has 5 siblings. I believe his older siblings are all sisters. I know he has 2 younger siblings that were still in the home when Brayden disappeared. So Brayden has been described as funny. He's been described as sarcastic. He had a huge group of friends. He has a lot of Facebook friends. To be honest with you guys, in order to find out more information on this case, I actually did have to creep his Facebook. It was a very eerie feeling. And I also had to look into Reddit. I always look at Reddit, guys. I'm sure you guys do too. Very interesting theories, but it's very, very rare. In fact, I've never done it before that I include information from Reddit in a case just because it's not verified information. So I am including some Reddit information in here, but I will make sure, guys, that I tell you guys when I'm doing so. So Brayden was also described as an exceptional athlete. It appears that he played football. He was number 10 on his high school team, the Silverados, and this would be in St. Stephen, British Columbia. Or sorry, St. Stephen, New Brunswick. Brayden is from New Brunswick. And we're going to talk about St. Stephen in a couple minutes. He also played soccer, and he also wrestled. Actual wrestling, not, wrestling based on TV. We're talking actual high school wrestling here. And he was very, very good. In fact, people told Amanda that he had Olympic level talent. He was very good, guys. And he apparently was at his happiest when he was on the sports fields. He really did love sports. Brayden was also very close to his family. He was very close to his grandparents, but he was particularly close to his younger brother and sister. In fact, he would often dance with his younger sister just to make her smile. He had a very big affinity for children. He's also an uncle, and he doted on his niece as well. But his younger brother and sister, he really focused on. And he would help his mother take care of them. He would help Amanda with that. But Amanda and Brayden also did have typical teenage fights, fights about curfew, fights about where you're going and how late you can stay out. Most parents have these difficulties with their children. This is normal, everyday teen life. It was nothing big. It was nothing horrendous, just normal things. Amanda does recall that Brayden would sing, and apparently she said he sang very terribly. And he had a particular affinity for rap music. He did love rap music and singing along to that. But his mother, Amanda, does remember him as being a terrible singer. However, she does miss his singing now. And I think that's one of the things that really gets to us when we look at articles or when we read about it or when we see it in YouTube videos. The fact that a mother can say, my son sang so terribly, but I miss it now. Because we do. If somebody was to disappear, or even if when your kids leave your home, you do miss those things that you thought you weren't going to miss. So Brayden, like I said, was always described as a happy child, and he did have a lot of friends, guys. When I went through his Facebook page, he appeared to have a very large group of friends. He seemed particularly tight with a few of them. He called them his boys. They'd often talk back and forth about things and leave silly comments, like you're a goof. That's a big thing in Canada where we call people that. So he grew up in St. Stephen, New Brunswick. Now, St. Stephen is not a very large place. It's a small town. It's got about 4,415 people, and that's as of the 2016 census, guys. St. Stephen is actually a border town with Calais, Maine. They're directly across from each other, and they're separated by the St. Croix River, Croix, Croix. They're separated by that river. So they're directly across from each other. St. Stephen is a border town, but St. Stephen is actually really well known because it is the headquarters. It was the very first site of Ganong Candy Limited, Ganong Brothers Candy Limited. So it's actually a place that makes huge chocolate, guys. It's involved with chocolate. They were actually the first people that released the heart-shaped candy boxes in all of the world, guys. So it was established there in about 1873, and it is still a key employer for the town of St. Stephen. They have a chocolate fest every August. I'd love to go there. And they also opened a chocolate museum in 1999. So I guess it's a sweet place to be. But I do also want to remind you guys that St. Stephen is a border town. So whatever goes on in the States can bleed over. And residents have said that particularly in the last little bit, there has been an increase in violent crimes, and that they've had a problem with drugs such as marijuana, cocaine, and methamphetamines. You guys know before, because I talked about it with Donnie Club, that here in my hometown, in my home area, we also have quite a problem with methamphetamines. It's a cheaper drug, it's easier to make. So they have noted an increase in that, but it's still a very small town. It's a small town area. It doesn't seem like they said an increase in more violent crimes, which would probably be, property crimes or assaults, not murders. There's very few that have ever occurred in St. Stephen. So Brayden had just graduated, sorry, I shouldn't say graduated, had just completed grade 11 at St. Stephen High School in St. Stephen in 2017, and he was 20 years old. His mother, Amanda, recalls that he, for 2 weeks, had been this was in July, at some point in time in July, he went to Fredericton. Now, Fredericton is the capital of New Brunswick. We're going to get into it in a couple seconds, but he went there for 2 weeks. The reason he gave Amanda for going was to spend time with friends. He had friends from there, play basketball, and just hang out and be a kid in general. He was 17 years old. I do want you guys to remember that. He's old enough to drive. He's almost a legal adult. He contacted his mother every single day. So she did not feel uncomfortable with him going to Fredericton. Now, Fredericton is about an hour and a half away from St. Stephen, but it was probably the biggest town in the area. Honestly, like, it was probably the biggest commercial area for him to go to. So Fredericton is on the St. John River. Like I said, it's the capital of New Brunswick. It has a population of 58,220 people as of 2016. It's the third largest city in New Brunswick, and it's known for its cultural and artistic merits, guys. They actually have an annual Harvest Jazz and Blues Fest, which is internationally well known. A lot of people from different places, different countries outside of Canada will actually come to Canada to take part in this. And it's very well known for its artists and the music that it puts out, the art that it actually does, its handicrafts, all of those types of things. Fredericton is very well known for this. It's also a well-known educational hotspot. It has less than 100,000 people, guys, but there are two very well-known universities that are in Fredericton. And actually, Fredericton itself has the highest population of people with post-secondary education in all of New Brunswick. So education is very important in Fredericton. Now, Fredericton's homicide rate is about 1.45 per 100,000. So that would basically be about 1 to 2 murders a year Fredericton sees. There's a fluctuation sometimes, and it depends on circumstances, but generally they only see about 1 to 2 murders a year. And it's basically, from what I gathered, a nice place to live, but it does have violent crimes that do occur there. So I'm just going to bring up a picture of Brayden right now before I forget. You guys know sometimes I forget to put pictures. So this right here is one of the best pictures I could find of Brayden. Please really look at his features, guys. Take a look at him, because I need to know if anybody out there has seen this boy. I'm also going to bring up just one more picture that shows a little bit more of him, just so that you guys can get a little bit of a look. So that's Brayden right there. So like I said, Brayden was in Fredericton for 2 weeks. It looks like he went there at about the 14th or 15th of July. And like I said, he had been there visiting friends, just playing basketball, regular hanging out, things of that nature. That's what he told his mom. He did contact her every day. I'm sorry, I'm saying an awful lot today. Sorry guys, I really do apologize for that. I don't even remember I'm doing it half the time until I think. So sorry, it's very unconscious on my part. I'm gonna try not to. So Brayden was there for the 2 weeks just hanging out. And like I said, he had contacted Amanda every day. He would either phone her, text her, or Facebook message her. The last time she heard from her son, as far as I know, was July 30th of 2017. And he said, quote, "Love you more, mama," end quote. Those were his last words to his mother. He also told her that he would be home in a couple days. And she did say to him, "Make good choices, son. Just behave yourself while you're out and not at home." On July 31st of 2017, Brayden was last seen on Gibson Street in Fredericton. This is in the north end of Fredericton. The north end is described as, quote, "the bad end of Fredericton," but no one knows why Brayden was there, and no one knows exactly who Brayden was with. He was spotted on this street on the afternoon of July 31st, 2017. After that, all communication with his family stopped, and no one has seen or heard from Brayden. His family, I don't know if he messaged a friend on the 31st or not, but no one has seen or heard from Brayden since then. Brayden is 5'8". He weighs 160 pounds. He has brown hair and brown eyes, like you guys saw. He's prone to wearing caps of a nature, either like regular hats or baseball caps. And he has a tattoo on his left inner arm that says, "Trust your struggles." But like I said, he has not been seen from or heard from since the 31st of July in 2017. If you guys do have any information, I'm going to add the phone numbers right now. I will also say them at the end of the video, and I'm also going to link them down in the description box. If you guys do have any information, contact the RCMP for New Brunswick at, sorry guys, I haven't memorized the number, at 1-877-322-6777. You can go to Crime Stoppers. You guys know 1-800-222-8477. So 1-800-222-TIPS. It's completely anonymous. You do not have to leave your name or phone number. And you can also send an email through the Crime Stoppers website at info@crimenb.ca. Hopefully, guys, someone out there, one of you guys out there, or someone you know has information on this case. Now, police are very, very tight-lipped on this case. This is why we do not have a lot of information. So I'm going to go through just a brief timeline of what police have let the family know. However, Brayden's family feels very much left in the dark by the police. They are not telling them any information, the RCMP are not, about what they know or about how they know specific things. So of course we are going to talk about these specific things. The family does feel very left out and in the dark. However, they are working with the RCMP. They actually urge people to work with the RCMP. They just feel left out. A lot of families with missing children have this feeling because police hold back key details from a crime. If it's an ongoing crime, we've talked about it before, right? Jeopardizing the integrity of the crime. Police will hold back key details because if someone comes forward, police want to see if they know those key details. Those key details are not out in the public. So the only way they would know those details is if they took part in the crime, had firsthand information of the crime, or spoke to somebody directly involved. And that's what the police are waiting for. So they're holding back these key details. There is nothing, I'm really not joking, guys, literally nothing about the circumstances. So police have said that originally, police said they did not know why Brayden was in Fredericton or who he was with. I found it a little odd because I was able to locate an article, and it wasn't written very long after Brayden disappeared, that Amanda gave an interview to Global News, you know, if it's Global or CBC or things of that nature, Maclean's magazine, I'm going to trust it. So she did give an article to Global News that said that she did know that her son was in Fredericton for the 2 weeks prior, that he was there visiting friends and things of that nature. However, Amanda has acknowledged she had no idea where he was the day he went missing. She didn't know why he was on Gibson Street. And she also didn't know who he was with at that point in time, on that exact date. Police did say that Brayden's disappearance seemed very suspicious from the start, and they classified it as suspicious from the start, but they didn't give that information to the family. We'll get into that. We have no idea why it was described as suspicious from the start, because like I said, police have not given any details. You're going to find this in a lot of what we're talking about right now. Police haven't given any details. So in September of 2017, however, I do have another timeline that said it was by October of 2017, but we're going to say in September of 2017, police did go to Amanda and told her that they believed her son was dead. They did not give her circumstances around why they believed this. They gave her no information as to why they believed her son was dead. They just told her that they believed he was dead. However, they told the family that the family was not allowed to give this information out to the public. They just said they believed Brayden to be dead at that point in time. In November, so 2 months later, police did give an update in the case, so November of 2017, and all they released to the public was that they believed Brayden's disappearance was suspicious in nature. So we already talked about how they had thought that basically from the beginning. They waited until November. So he was reported missing by Amanda on August 20th. I don't know why there was a 20-day delay. It could be because she was hoping her son was coming home. You know, when kids say, adults do it too, they'll be home in a couple days, and it turns out to be a couple weeks. Amanda reported him missing on August 20th. So from August until November, so August to September, so 3 months basically, police sat on the information that they viewed his disappearance as suspicious, but they finally released that in November of 2017. They released no further details at that point in time, of course, in the press conference. And they also didn't say that they believed he was dead. Okay. So in February, sorry guys, of 2018, police acknowledged to the public that they believed, quote, someone or ones were responsible for Brayden's disappearance and that they suspected foul play, end quote. That's all. It's almost like they were presenting it as a case of kidnapping. So they said that it was very suspicious that Brayden disappeared, and they suspected that it wasn't on his own merit. Let's just say that he disappeared. This was when police finally revealed to the family. So February of 2018, they revealed to the family that they believed Brayden was not just dead, but the victim of a homicide. They didn't give them any other circumstances around why they believed that, because they said that it would jeopardize the integrity of the case. They couldn't give those reasons why. However, they did not tell the public this at this time. They did not tell the public that they believed Brayden was dead, nor did they tell the public that they believed he was the victim of a homicide. They waited. They sat on that information. We'll get into it in a couple minutes. They had only released, like I said before, that they believed, it almost seems like they believed Brayden was kidnapped, and they suspected it was by people who had bad intentions, let's just say. Now, Amanda immediately, as of February of 2018, tried to push the RCMP to release to the public that they believed that Brayden was the victim of a homicide. They did not want to do it. The RCMP actually waited quite a long time to reveal that to the public. Amanda says she doesn't understand why. She wants to know how police were able to determine that her son was dead. And then she also wants to know what changed between them viewing it as a suspicious disappearance and death, because remember they told her in September, to him being classified as a homicide victim. She'd like to know the details surrounding that. Of course, the RCMP are not giving that. She also wanted to know why it took so long for them to tell the public they believed that Brayden was a victim of foul play. Okay. So police declined to say anything more about Brayden's case for more than a year. Actually, guys, it was more like a year and a half. They did not say anything that about Brayden being dead or a homicide victim. Remember, it was just that there was suspected foul play and that his disappearance was suspicious. They did not release the information that Brayden was dead and a homicide victim until July 30th of 2019. That's 2 full years after Brayden had gone missing, but it's also a year and a half since they said that his disappearance was suspicious in nature and that they believed foul play was involved with it. That on July 30th of 2019, the RCMP finally held a press conference where they said they believed that Brayden was the victim of a homicide. So Amanda wants to know what information changed between February of 2018 and July 30th of 2019 that led police to finally go public and say that Brayden was a homicide victim. She wants to know what information that police have. It's the same thing for most family members of homicide victims. They want to know what information the police have that lead police to believe this. Remember, there is no body. They do not have Brayden's body at this point in time. However, police will not tell her because it jeopardizes the integrity of a case and because they need to hold that information back, as painful as it is and as angry as it makes us to leave family members out in the dark. The RCMP do have reasons for doing so. So as much as I hate to say it, we have to trust them, the RCMP, at this point in time. It did appear that they were working on this case, but I want to remind you guys again, I said it in the first part of this video, as of 2019, nothing else has been released about this case. So she knows, like I said, Amanda knows that they believed Brayden was dead in September of 2017, but she really desperately wants to know how they know he's dead and not just a missing person. The RCMP will not reveal, like we just discussed, why they believe Brayden is the victim of a homicide, or even how they came to believe that in the first place. They're not telling us details. They will not release these details until they either have somebody in custody for this or until they feel like they have to. Remember when we talked about this with Septic Tank Sam, we also talked about this with Beth Doe from Pennsylvania, where years later they released more key details in the hopes that somebody would be able to come forward. So they may be sitting on that at this point in time for a while longer until they find somebody more closely connected with the case. Now, Corporal Julie Rogers Marsh, who is a spokesperson for the RCMP in New Brunswick, she appears to be the spokesperson for Brayden's case in particular, said she can't reveal why Brayden's death, like we just said, is now classified a homicide because it would jeopardize the integrity of the investigation. But at some point in time, police did find out why Brayden specifically was in Fredericton. I don't know if it's different than why Amanda believes that he was in Fredericton, like the information that Brayden gave Amanda was that he went to Fredericton to visit friends and play basketball and hang out. The police do know why he was in Fredericton. However, they won't tell the public why they believe he was in Fredericton at this point in time. Rogers Marsh had also said, quote, "We believe through our investigation that Brayden is deceased," end quote, and quote, "We know there are people who know what happened to Brayden and where his remains are located, end quote. She also went on to say, quote, we know there are people who may have heard others talking about what happened to Brayden, end quote. Now, this seems really telling to me because she didn't say we believe, she said we know. So it leads me to believe that the RCMP have information from other parties that was able to pinpoint to them what happened to Brayden. Not the exact details of what happened to him, but lead them in the direction of knowing that he is dead. They must have had second or third hand information from a source that said, this is what I heard from this person, and this is what happened to Brayden at this point in time. However, without firsthand information, police can't do a lot, right? Because this is hearsay information. They can only investigate the tips they were given by these people. It appears that they're waiting for people to come forward and give them more direct evidence. Like, I heard a specific person say this, I was in the room when they said this, and then they can investigate that specific person. Or I saw this happen to Brayden, and then they can investigate from that angle. They're still waiting for these people to come forward. Amanda did make a YouTube video. You can still view it, guys, if you look up Brayden Thibault. I did give you the spelling of his name at the start of this video, and of course it will be on the description box. You guys can see it, the title of the movie. I always usually say is the victim or the perpetrator, so in this case it will be Brayden's name. You can see the way it's spelled. Amanda did go to YouTube and she made a video in 2018 begging for people to help her. I'm not joking, guys. This was a really heartfelt video. I've watched the video. It's very, very sad. It shows a whole lot more pictures of Brayden if you guys want to view it. And I do urge you guys to view it just in case any of these pictures trigger something or anything that's said trigger a memory so that you guys can help solve this crime. She said, quote, please help them, the RCMP, find Brayden, help them bring him home, and help begin to heal the hearts of all the people who love him, end quote. She also said, quote, I miss my son. I miss his smiles. I miss his hugs, his sense of humor, and his sarcasm, end quote. She also asked for people to have the, quote, courage and compassion, end quote, to come forward. Just with any information. Imagine being a mother begging for information on your son, knowing that he is dead, that he has been classified as a homicide victim, but being unable to bring his remains home. Imagine the pain that Amanda must feel. So once again, I reiterate, if you guys have any information, please come forward. It can help. Any little tidbit, anything, even the smallest things, guys, can help solve cases. On August 3rd of 2019, police searched an area, I think it was actually on the campus, but some people say near the University of Moncton. So Université de Moncton is what it's actually known as in New Brunswick. They did do a search on the areas near the university, and nothing, of course, was found, but they did have information that seemed to lead them to do a search in that area. Now, 2 weeks later, I want to say it was either the 17th or the 18th of August. I wasn't able to pinpoint the exact date. They did another search, this time in the area of McMiniman Court, which is a residential area on the north side of Fredericton, New Brunswick. Once again, they had information that led them to look at this area, and I don't know how close McMiniman Court is to Gibson Street. I would assume they must be in the same general area. Police, I should have looked that up, actually. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't do my due diligence with that. I didn't actually think of it until right this moment. But they did do a search of the area and, of course, once again, found nothing. And this is the last article that I had that gave any information on Brayden or searches that they were leading. From 2019 until today, nothing more has come up. There was nothing more in 2020. I know on the Facebook page, there is a Facebook page dedicated to Brayden. He does have his own Facebook page, guys. It is still up, or it was as of last December. But I know there's a web page, hashtag bring Brayden home, hashtag find Brayden. You guys can go and look at it, where the family members do leave comments and more information about Brayden himself. That's where I was able to get a lot of information about his likes and things of that nature. So as of today, like I said, no new information is out. This case has gone cold, it appears. The police have not released anything else. No updates, nothing whatsoever. So now we're going to get into the theories. I want you guys to keep in mind these are only theories because we have no information, and some of them will seem incredibly hurtful. I am not trying to hurt anybody with these. This is only possible theories. Things that I can gather from things that I've read. So I mean absolutely no disrespect to Brayden or his family at all in talking about any of these topics. I do also want to let you guys know that this case is rife with rumors. There are a lot of rumors going around St. Stephen itself with regards to this case, and these rumors have actually really hurt Amanda and Brayden's siblings, guys, his whole entire family. She has 2 younger kids, like I said, and they were actually quite a bit younger than Brayden. And they would come home from school, because they're still school aged, and tell Amanda the rumors that were going around at their own schools. Imagine coming home and imagine going to school and hearing that your brother was stabbed and then thrown in the St. John River. That is one of the rumors that Brayden's younger brother brought home and told his mother. Like, imagine that. Imagine the confusion. So this case is very rife with rumor and innuendo. It's very, very hard to separate fact from fiction. Hopefully what I'm giving is factual information. I tried really hard, guys. So theory number 1, drugs. I want to point out that there is absolutely nothing, no information I have from any of the articles or anything of that nature that points to Brayden doing drugs. There is nothing at all in any of the interviews given, anything of that nature that said that Brayden was an addict or had used drugs. He could have used drugs recreationally. You guys know how teenagers are. We were all teenagers once. Some of us longer ago than others. Sorry. We were all teenagers once. It's a time of experimentation, and you know, some people are able to experiment and stop. Some people aren't. Some people get addicted. It's a small town, and unfortunately, small towns can be like that. There's nothing else for kids to do, so they try to create their own fun in any way they can. However, I do want to point out that there really is nothing that would produce a link between this, that Brayden used drugs. There's no information I have that points to that, but we do have to address it. So could it be possible that Brayden was involved in drugs and kept it from his family? Yes, it's possible. Some people are very good at hiding things. Could it be possible that Brayden was a drug mule and that he was bringing drugs from St. Stephen to Fredericton? It's possible. We don't really know. Could the friends that he was visiting in Fredericton be people that he was supplying things with? Could he be bringing drugs from Fredericton to St. Stephen? I don't know, guys. I really don't. I'm just saying it's possible. His friend group is so tight-knit. None of them seemed like they were of that nature, but it doesn't mean anything. Sometimes the most wholesome people can be involved in things we don't suspect them to be. So it's possible. Now, like I said, I had to check sources, and there were sources on Reddit. And like I said, I do read Reddit a lot. I love to read the articles that are on there that people have put forth. I like to read the possible theories, but sometimes in Reddit, there are people that comment that are from the area that the victim either lived in or that the victim was last seen in. And there was a guy on there who said that because St. Stephen is a border town, like we had talked about before, it is used for running drugs such as marijuana and cocaine. Now, I'm assuming these drugs came from the Maine area, from Calais, Maine. Remember, they're directly across from each other, and that they're muled along that way. However, they could be from Fredericton and muled to Calais that way too. Apparently, there are more violent incidences attributed to meth from that area, St. Stephen, now as well. And this is what this particular source said. So could Brayden have been ripped off? Could Brayden have ripped off a dealer and then the dealer found him and took him out because of that? It's possible. Could he have OD'd and the friend group he was with freaked out and hid the body? I mean, that's possible. It doesn't seem likely. He was so tight with his friends, and you know, knowing that Amanda really was looking for her son, I feel like if he had OD'd, they would have either anonymously dropped him off at the hospital, or they would have anonymously phoned in and said, look, you can find his body here. But some people do fear the consequences of calling that in, so they don't do it. Could one of his friends have been on drugs and freaked out and accidentally killed Brayden, and then they hid the body? That's possible. Maybe they were so freaked out, it was an accident, but they were using at that point in time. They don't want to go to the police and deal with that, so they just hid the body. I mean, that's possible. It is a possibility. Stranger things have happened. But like I said, I didn't see a lot of proof of drugs in Brayden's life. However, a lot of people do point out his Facebook posts, okay? In some of them, it did appear like he was smoking some type of substance. However, it could have just been a cigarette. Don't use cigarettes. Cigarettes are bad. Sorry, guys. I am a cigarette smoker myself, but they are terribly bad, and I am going to try to quit at some point in time. I live in a small town. Cigarettes were easy to get. Could Brayden have just been smoking cigarettes? That's possible. There is no concrete proof, though, that he was an active drug user. And without a body and without being able to see the toxicology reports, we can't really say if he was or wasn't on drugs. It's just a theory. And since there are no information, there are no leads on the drug angle, it's, like I said, just a theory, just a possibility. Now, I also want you to know that when I was looking at his Facebook page, I did see that Brayden had a certificate for, quote, achievement for completing phase 3, end quote. I don't know what this was. Is it possible it could have been a form of rehab? Was it possible that prior to 2017, Brayden was involved with drugs and decided to get clean and sober and so completed rehab? That's a possibility. It is a possibility, guys. If so, it appears that Brayden was clean and sober. If he even had been at some point in time using, he is very much clean and sober in 2017, guys. It appears that he had his stuff together as of 2017. So if he had been doing drugs, he could have been completing a drug rehab program before he died. Did someone try to lure him back into the lifestyle? You know what friends are like, guys. Friends are our biggest influence, especially when we're teens. Could they have tried to lead him back into it? He resisted. They killed him because of that. Did he have drug information and they were afraid he was going to go to the police because of it? It's all possible. I do want to also point out that Brayden was an exceptional athlete, guys. If he was a drug user, he would have lost his edge, let's just say. He would have been much slower. And if he was a drug user of the harder nature, like meth, like cocaine, heroin, anything of that degree, you guys know that a person will give up everything for drugs. So it doesn't seem like Brayden could have lived the dual life of, I'm a drug kingpin over here, but I'm also, I shouldn't say drug kingpin. I should say, you know, I actively do drugs with my friends over here, but on the court, I'm still doing well, or on the soccer field, I'm still great. That wouldn't happen. They'd lose interest, right, guys? They would lose interest in sports and things of that nature. And it doesn't seem like that ever happened for Brayden. I do know from personal experience, not me personally, but I have a family member that was a very gifted athlete. When they say Olympic potential, this family member had it, but he gave it all up because of drugs. So that is a truism. I just don't feel like Brayden could have been doing any type of hardcore drugs and still been actively participating in sports. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. The drug theory does not make the most sense to me, but I still have to put it out there as a possibility. So number 2, gangs. Was Brayden involved with a gang? Is that why he was in Fredericton? Was he doing some type of gang activity in Fredericton? Please don't. Once again, there is no evidence to point to this angle. I'm just saying it due to some information I have. This is another rumor that was going around St. Stephen, and that the family has been told and that the family has had to listen to. So a lot of the times in a small town, kids from a small town or people from a small town, it's not just teenagers, it's people in their 20s and 30s, will try to affiliate themselves with some type of LA-based gang. It's particularly the Bloods and the Crips. Most true members of the Bloods and the Crips are from the LA area. I mean, they do have branches in other places, but it's like trying to affiliate yourself with the Hells Angels, right, guys? It's almost like you feel like it gives you credit or street cred, right? It makes you seem like you're tougher or cooler, or it gives you a base of people to hang out with if you're lonely, right? Brayden had a very good family and he was very close to his family. Most people, not all of them, but most people that are affiliated with gangs are doing so because they're trying to find like-minded people and because they don't have the ties to their community or the ties to their own family that gang life will offer. And I'm not talking about doing horrible things. I'm talking about the sense of family and the sense of belonging that gang life can offer. Brayden had a lot of different friends. He had a lot of friends, guys. So it didn't seem like he would need to do this. He also had, like I said, a very tight-knit family. So it did not seem like he would need to affiliate himself like that. But in small towns, people do this in general. People do this. They're like, oh, we're gonna start our own faction of this. Sorry guys, my eyelash. We're gonna start our own faction of this, and it's gonna make us look tough and cool, and we're gonna be awesome. And it's boredom too, right? It's boredom. We know this. So was he involved with a gang and then wanted out? Did he no longer want to be affiliated with this particular gang? Did he no longer want to be a member? And as such, either distanced himself and tried to get away. And as such, the former members, or the members decided to get rid of him because he no longer wanted to be affiliated. Or did they accidentally kill him when they were jumping him out? You guys know, if you're part of a gang, you're jumped in, and if you want to leave the gang, which is highly frowned upon, but if you want to leave the gang, you have to be jumped out. Did they accidentally kill him when they were jumping him out? I don't know, because like I said, there's no evidence that points to him being in a gang. I'm just putting this forward as a theory. Now, did people that, if it's possible that they did jump him out, or if it's possible that they did kill him because he no longer wanted to be affiliated, did they hide the body because of this? That's possible too. Now, I do want to say his possible involvement in a, quote, small gang where, quote, drugs could be involved, end quote, was discussed by a source on Reddit. This is from a person who lived in St. Stephen. So I guess they would have a closer connection to the case than I would, or any one of us. They did live in the area. And this was something that they talked about on Reddit, but we can't say for sure if it's true. Once again, rumors are rumors. They start and then they gather speed because people like the salaciousness of them. But it is possible. It is possible. We don't have any evidence, so we can't say for sure. So number 3, a witness. Did he witness something at some point in time in the past or while he was in Fredericton that put him at risk? Was he a witness to a crime and the people were afraid he'd go to the police, so they took him out because of that? Is it possible he witnessed something in the past, or while he was in Fredericton that made people suspect he was going to try to go to the police, and as such they took him out because of that? Is that possible? Was he unwittingly involved in some type of criminal activity and was going to go to the police with that? Did they get him involved in something and he didn't want to be involved in it, and as such he was going to go to the police and people stopped him because of that? That's a possibility. Did he see something untoward, like I said, and wanted to do the right thing? Was he silenced because of something he saw while in Fredericton or in his past? I mean, these are small town people. It doesn't seem like this area is rife with things like this. Like I said, there are violent crimes. But this is like, Fredericton sees 1 to 2 murders a year. So I'm trying to think what he could have saw, unless it was drug deals or theft. But it doesn't make a lot of sense that someone would kill him because of that, but some people like to keep their secrets deeply hidden, so who's to say for sure? One of his many Facebook friends did tell him, quote, "Keep your stick on the ice and out of trouble, cuz. Be humble and live legit. It feels a lot better," end quote. So if Brayden had been involved in something criminal prior to Fredericton or prior to 2017, and not legit before, it does appear like his life was very much on the upswing as of 2017. If he had been involved in drugs, if he hadn't been involved or had been involved with some type of criminality prior to completing phase 3 of whatever program he completed, or prior to 2017, I'm thinking more like 2016 or 2015, if he had dabbled in that sort of thing, and I'm only saying dabbled because he was still a good student, he was still a good athlete. If he had dabbled in that type of thing and decided it was not for him, could it be possible that there were people that he saw do things, and as such they were going to come after him because his life was on the upswing, because his life was getting better? Were they jealous of that and decided to take him out because of that? Who's to say for sure? Did people want revenge on him for some reason, for whatever reason? Could it have been involved a girl? You know, people date people, and some people can't let other people go, so they will attack the current boyfriend, the current girlfriend, because they can't let go. Is that possible? Did he steal someone's girlfriend? Is it possible that that's how that person viewed it? Who's to say for sure? Now, like I said before, the north side of Fredericton is viewed as the bad side. I don't know what that actually means. Most people in most areas, if you live in a town, have a bad side of town. In Chatham, it's the East End. The East End is always considered the rough end of town for whatever reason. That's how it's considered. So the north end of Fredericton is the rough area or the bad area. Could Brayden had seen something during his time there, something that was so bad somebody decided they had to take him out? I mean, it's only a theory. It needs to be looked into more. We don't know who Brayden was directly with at the time that he disappeared, so it's very hard for us to say, but it's a theory nonetheless. Number 4, and this is the biggest theory, right, guys? I'm sorry, I'm just having really big problems with my eyelashes today. Sorry, guys. So number 4 is the biggest ones. Friends, acquaintances, partners, dating partners. I should add that in there too. Was Brayden taken out by somebody he knew? This theory seems like it's the most possible. He was in Fredericton because he knew people there. Was he done in by somebody he knew for whatever reason? Could this have been a friend that he noticed do something untoward, and so he was going to say something? Could this have been a former partner trying to get revenge on him? Could this have been the partner of a current partner trying to get revenge on him? Could this have been someone he was affiliated with before that he was no longer affiliated with, and as such they wanted revenge for whatever reason? It seems most likely that that would be the reason why Brayden would be on Gibson Street, is because he knew someone there and that this person caused him some harm. This could be another reason why it's kept very quiet. Friends do not like to rat on friends. Although if we're talking about the gang angle too, remember, snitches get stitches. So it's possible. And if it was a gang, guys, if he was involved in any type of gang, I do want to point out that these would have been his former friends. And if he no longer wanted to be affiliated with them, you know, they'd be former friends or acquaintances. They could maybe not have liked the fact that he didn't want to be involved in their lifestyle choices anymore. So they took him out because of that. I want to remind people that it's what, 80, I think we're 85% more likely to be the victims of homicide or of assault from someone we know, from a friend, from a partner, from a family member. We're more likely to be homicide victims from someone we know than from a stranger. So is it possible that someone in Brayden's immediate life took him out? And I'm not talking family members, guys. It just doesn't seem like that with his family. I'm talking more friends or associates, people that he was acquainted with even. Did this have to do with a girl? I know in 2016 he was dating a girl. Could a former partner of that girl been mad at him? Could she be mad at him? I don't know if they were still dating. Could it have something to do with that? Now, according to Brayden's Facebook page, he seemed to have been involved, I'm not joking, or have wanted to be involved at some point in time with the Bloods. It was specifically the Bloods. That's why I mentioned that. People do this all the time. I don't know why people do this in pictures now, but I've seen it in many pictures on Facebook pages, pictures of other people's kids I know. My own kids have done it, where they throw up the west side. You can either do it this way or this way. It's just a thing that people think that they look cool with. It's not because they're necessarily affiliated with the crime. This is what people are trying to say about his Facebook page, because they saw the west sides. Sorry, I'm going to try to do it right. The west sides, or the fingers thrown up like that, because they've seen that on there, they automatically believe it's a gang affiliation. Some kids just do this because they think it makes them look cool or it gives them credit. It doesn't mean they have any affiliation with anything. It's just because of that. However, Brayden also said at one point in time, he, quote, took a good girl and made her a blood, end quote. This is referring to the girlfriend he had in 2016. But like I said before, a lot of people try to fantasize that they're part of these gangs because they think it makes them look cooler, or it gives them more cred. It doesn't appear like Brayden was involved with any faction of the Bloods. It could have just been a poor choice of words on his behalf. I don't really know. You know, people write whatever they feel like on Facebook, and it's either to make yourself look better or to tell people information, you know, you're going on a weight loss journey, or update people on your children, things of that nature. So it could have just been him making these references without actually being part of it. Did a former friend want to take him out because he was no longer affiliated? We've already gone through this when we talked about gang members are also friends and acquaintances. So that's why it kind of bleeds into both. Could it have been a revenge thing at all? Could he have seen something they didn't want him to see? Does he know information on them that he didn't want them, that the particular person that killed him didn't want him to know? Or did he see something that they thought he was going to come forward with? Did he take some other guy's girlfriend? You know, oh, well, she likes me now. Or did he break up with somebody and they wanted revenge? Like I said, we've already talked about this, but it's highly possible. You're more likely to be killed by someone you know than someone you don't. Now, the last theory we're going to talk about, sorry guys, yeah, I know it's a lot, is number 5, and it's a killer or killers / serial killer. I know what you guys are going to think. Oh, Crystal, you always want to talk about serial killers. I do talk about them a lot. It's not specifically true. In fact, at first, I didn't even want to really look into this. I'm more of the school that Brayden was killed by somebody he knew. However, when I looked at the responses in Reddit to Brayden, there was a man on there that was talking about similar murders from that area. And it seemed to be a very interesting point. So I'm gonna talk about that for a few minutes, guys. So could Brayden's death had been at the been at the hands of a stranger? Could somebody literally have just snatched him off of of Gibson Street? I feel like if he was just snatched off Gibson Street, though, people would have saw him being forced into a car, but I don't know, guys. He might have just been standing there. You know, Paul and Carla did it. Oh, can you give me directions? And then somebody snatches you, right? Maybe they were over there asking Brayden for directions, and he's like, I don't really live here, guys. I don't really know, but I can tell you how to get to here. And then they snatched him. I mean, it's possible. Police do suspect foul play. A serial killer or killers, or just a killer in general, a lone killer who has just killed. I'm talking about both, guys. I'm talking about just a random killer, and I'm also talking about serial killers. Could he have just been taken off the streets and murdered by a stranger or stranger? Somebody who just wanted to feel the thrill of a kill? That could be gang related too, right? A lot of the times, to get into an actual real gang, not the fantasized gang, but an actual real gang, you have to kill somebody, or at least hurt them a lot. So is it possible that somebody killed Brayden for cred, for street credit? Some stranger, just for street credit. Is it possible that he was murdered by a serial killer because he looked similar to the serial killer's types? We know that with this regard, most serial killers, not all, but most serial killers have a specific type. Ted Bundy had a specific type. Paul Bernardo technically had a specific type. Alan Legier killed at random, though. He killed different people. He killed a priest. He killed people he knew. He killed people he didn't know. Israel Keyes, who could be one of the most prolific serial killers of the 21st century, we don't know for sure, killed at random. He said he killed at random, and then he killed himself. So we're not entirely certain. One source on Reddit pointed out that, okay, quote, locally, it is believed his murder is related to a couple of missing and murdered young men, all connected by the same social circles, end quote. And quote, all found dead or missing in a short period, end quote. So these people are Corey Sisson, who was 19. He was reported missing to Fredericton Police July 30th of 2019, the day police acknowledged that Brayden was a homicide victim. So could Corey have had something to do with that? Not Corey, like I don't believe Corey killed Brayden. I'm just saying, could Brayden have known about that? Or could Corey have known about that? Could Corey have saw what had happened? I think it's very interesting that he was reported missing that day and that police released that. It's probably just some weird occurrence. It's probably just some weird coincidence, guys, but I'm just saying it's really interesting. So his body was found August 10th of 2019, and his accused killer is someone named Robbie Mitchell Polchies. I hope I'm saying that right. Polchies. He's been arrested, but he's not yet been tried, of course, due to COVID. I do want to point out that Corey did disappear from the north side of Fredericton, that he was a young man, he was a teenager, and that he had brown hair. Was there any connection between this? Did this Mr. Polchies kill Brayden before then? And was Corey his second victim? Was Brayden even his first victim? Had he killed before? Was this guy a serial killer? I don't know. Did he just kill the two because they looked alike? I don't know, guys. Now, no links have been established between Brayden and Corey that I'm aware of anyway, that has gone out at all. But Corey could have been a friend or acquaintance. This specific site, or this specific source on Reddit, who does live locally, has said that there appear to be links between the two men based on their social media. Did Corey see Brayden murdered? Were they friends? Were they acquaintances? Were they involved in the same things? I don't know. Was Corey going to come forward and tell police something, and this Mr. Polchies took him out? Was he going to tell something about somebody else, and Mr. Polchies took him out for whatever reason because of that? I do also want to point out that Corey would have been 17, just like Brayden in 2017. So the second case is a guy named Justin Finemore, or Finmore, Finnennemore. Now, Justin was quite a bit older. He was 29 when he was actually shot and then dropped off at a hospital in Fredericton. He then later died of his wounds, and this was May 3rd of 2020. Police have arrested Timothy Robert Dunphy, who is 47. And a 36-year-old named Kevin Mark Sexton. They were charged with second-degree murder. Mr. Polcheese, Robbie Mitchell Polcheese, was actually charged with first-degree murder in the case of Corey. So that's premeditated, guys. You know that. Second-degree murder, it's more accidental in nature, more heat of the moment. So it kind of looks like they killed him without meaning to kill him. They weren't exactly intending to harm him that night, but they did anyway. If that makes sense. They brought weapons with them, obviously, but if that makes sense. So there's also been a 21-year-old named Katie Alyssa McIntosh who was charged with accessory after the fact of the murder, and she was just charged recently in Justin's murder. So did Justin and Corey and Brayden all know each other, or did just Corey and Brayden know each other? Did just Justin and Brayden know each other? Justin was a freestyle rap artist as well. And remember, rap was Brayden's music of choice. Justin actually has, I want to say it right, a bio on Reverb Nation that says his nickname is Kingspin, and he also said, quote, hip hop is life, end quote. It almost looked like he was a DJ as well, guys, but I can't say that for 100% sure. So did Brayden and Justin know each other through this? Did they see something maybe they shouldn't have? I want to point out that this Mr. Dumfries would have been like 43 or 44 at the time that Brayden disappeared. And the other guy, Mr. Sexton, would have been 32 or 33. So is it possible they somehow all knew each other? Is it possible that Justin and Brayden knew each other and that Justin was in a way mentoring him? I mean, Justin would have been 26 when Brayden was 17. But is it possible he was mentoring him to help him break into the business? I don't know, guys. I'm reaching right now. It's possible. But they did share that love of music and that love of that specific type of music. So is it possible they knew each other? Who's to say? Is it possible that these two men also killed Brayden? Is it possible that they killed Justin because of what he knew about Brayden? I don't know. It doesn't seem likely. It seems like it was more over a misunderstanding or more over something that had to do with the two of them. But I want to point out that this Katie girl that was involved, Katie Alyssa McIntosh, would have been around 18 at the time. Is it possible she was seeing Brayden and that she's related to one of those two older men, or that she was also seeing one of those two older men? I don't know. I don't know, guys. Is it possible there was some kind of triangle there and so they killed Brayden as well? I don't know. I literally don't know, guys. I'm sorry. I'm grasping right now. I'm just trying to give all the angles. So the third name mentioned was a man named Brandon Martin. Brandon Martin was about 20 or 21. Articles say two different things. From Miramichi, BC. And if you guys want to know about Miramichi, BC, we actually talked about it in the Alan Legier video. He went missing from Miramichi on May 22nd of 2019. Police deemed his disappearance as suspicious in August of 2019. So kind of like what they did with Brayden, but I mean, they waited a little bit longer with regards to Brayden, but kind of like that. He was then found, Brandon's body was found in a wooded area a year later on in May of 2020 on Route 108, which is also called the Plaster Rock Reynes Highway. So that would be close to the Reynes prison. We talked about that with regards to Alan Legier as well. And a man named Ethan James Harnish, I hope I'm saying it right, Harnish, has been charged with first-degree murder with connection to Brandon's murder. Brandon was 6'1". He had brown hair and he was about 170 pounds. If you guys will recall, Brayden is 5'8", brown hair, brown eyes, 160 pounds. But Brayden was taken from Fredericton. And Fredericton is 2 hours and 7 minutes away from Miramichi. Okay, Brayden is from St. Stephen, which would be about 3.5 hours away from the Miramichi. Is it possible these two cases are connected? I don't know. I mean, they would have been close to the same age. Justin would have been 17 or, sorry, not Justin. Brandon would have been about 17 or 18 the year that Brayden went missing. And they also have similar names too. Could they have known each other? From sports even? Could they have met each other through sports, right? Brayden would have traveled a lot for football. He would have traveled a lot for soccer, even for wrestling. When you wrestle in high school, right, you travel a lot to the different high schools. So is it possible they knew each other? They were the same age. Is it possible that they knew each other? Is it possible that this guy, who is it? Ethan Harnish. Is it possible that he killed them both? Is it possible he killed one of them because they had information on the other, or vice versa? Is it possible? I don't know for sure, guys. I really don't know. I'm grasping at straws, but I do want to point out the connections in these cases. However, it doesn't look like a serial killer case, to be honest with you guys, because all three of the previous victims we've talked about all had different offenders arrested with regards to their cases. And actually there were 2 different degrees of murder, right? Corey and Brandon, it was 1st degree murder from the person that has been arrested in connection to their case. With the case of Justin, it was 2nd degree murder with those 2 men. But could any of these cases have been connected to Brayden's? Are any of them connected? Could Brayden be connected with any of the victims? Could he be connected with any of the perpetrators? It's possible, guys. We just don't know at this point in time. So that's it, guys. That's all I can say. What do you guys think happened to Brayden? Do you think he was killed by a single killer? Do you think he was killed by somebody he knew? What do you guys believe the circumstances around his death are? We're just here to talk about it, guys. Please, please, please be respectful when we talk about it. I'm trying very hard, and I do apologize to the family if I mentioned anything untoward. These are just theories. That's all they are, guys. I'm not trying to hurt anybody with them. In my estimation, I believe that Brayden was more than likely killed by a friend or an acquaintance for whatever reason. I don't know what it might be, and we can't know because there's no information coming out. I understand that the police don't release it so that they can make sure they have the right person when that person comes forward, if that person comes forward. And I hope that person does come forward. I really do want to highlight this case. It's not talked about a lot, but this is a 17-year-old boy. He was 17, guys. He would be 21 this year. That's it. I want to bring closure to his family. I'd like to be able to bring Brayden home as well. So if you guys have any other theories, please let me know down below. If there's anything that I should have talked about that I didn't, let me know. If you guys know any further information on Brayden, let me know, and we can hopefully add it to an update video when we're able to do so. Remember, I do have cases that I'm waiting to update on. Like I said, guys, I'm going to just reiterate those phone numbers. If you guys do have any information at all, any information, I know it's a lot of pages, anything, please call the RCMP at 1-877-322-6777. Call Crime Stoppers. You can remain anonymous. The number for Crime Stoppers is 1-800-222-8477, or the Crime Stoppers website, which is info at the @ CRIMENB.ca. I'll also link that in the description below. Please, guys, I'm imploring you, if you guys have any information at all, please come forward. Let us bring Brayden home. And that's it for this week, guys. In the next 3 weeks, we're going to be doing a big case. I promised this case to somebody. I said I'd have it out by the 4th of July. So this case is an American case. But in order for me to do it, it's going to be a 3-parter. I think you guys know it's on a very prolific American serial killer. He's one of my penultimates. I'm sure he's a penultimate for a lot of people. But that's what we're going to be covering in the next little bit. So hopefully, guys, you liked this video. Hopefully you'll come forward if you have any information, but hopefully, guys, you will like this video. Hopefully you guys will subscribe if you already haven't. Hopefully you'll leave me a comment, maybe another theory that I haven't looked at, and please, 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 guys, share this video. Let's get this out there. Hopefully you guys will have a really good week, and I hope to see you guys next week. Bye for now.